Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, and anyone in between. I appreciate all the views, appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the interactions. Now, I wasn't actually going to do one today, and I usually don't do episodes or shows on the same days as when I have, undefeated duties. So whether it's the breakdown or Monday Night Smoke, but because there was quite a bit that happened on Monday with the AJ press conference and the news that's just kind of broken about 45 minutes, an hour ago on Twitter and everywhere else, I figured, you know what, I might as well get ahead of it now, do the video now, and then maybe I can do some members only content tomorrow. So with that being said, let's get into it. So the press conference between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte was a pretty somber affair. I was trying to go initially, so I did apply to go down there. Unfortunately, I was unable to get the accreditation, although they was very polite with declining me, unlike others. We'll talk about that another time. That being said though, I actually got a call from Travis at about 10 to 1 yesterday while I was actually at work in the office, and he was like, we just got last minute acceptance to go to the presser. And I was like, yeah, too late now. Like I had put in some time for work, I was like, let me try and put in a request, for half day so I could go do the presser, do the interviews and whatnot and come back. I cancelled that in the morning, and then ultimately from work, even though I had the equipment with me, because I was sort of talking back and forth with the head of media at Matchroom, just from where I was, the stuff I had with me, just the distance and the time it would have taken me to get there was it was a bit too long at that point. So I said, because my mindset wasn't on it, I said, yeah, no, I'm at work, let me finish that off. So watching it was a pretty somber affair. Like there wasn't really any big talking points, apart from obviously Dillian Whyte getting that Eddie Hearn for going to see Joshua in Texas and not going to visit him in Florida, even though it was across the waters. Little barb about what the Joshua's nuts taste like, and then obviously Eddie Hearn flipped it back and said, well, you might find out on the 12th. That I'm a guess being that you might end up falling face first into his front. But yeah, it was interesting. There wasn't a big amount. I mean, I like the fact that I think AJ basically he adopted the Travis J approach, because Travis said that this fight is personal to Dillian Whyte, it's not personal to Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua pretty much said, I am not an enemy of Dillian Whyte. He's not a rival of mine. He's just another guy. He's just another fighter. The other team, that team might think something different, but I don't. So I guess that does kind of lend credence to when Travis says that, ultimately AJ's moved on so far past that the same things that Dillian thinks he can do to get inside AJ's head like he did last time can still happen now. Outside of that, there wasn't much talking points until you got to the post-fight interviews. So AJ was on TalkSport with Spencer Oliver, and he basically stuck it on Spencer for how the members of TalkSport talk about him in comparison to other fighters. Namely, Tyson Fury is whom he was referring to primarily. But the thing that I found interesting is the fact that AJ repeated the question basically on 3 separate occasions, and on 3 separate occasions Spencer Oliver chose not to answer the question. He tried to divert and avoid and go in another direction. Now, personally, to me, I'll put it on the video, I think that's weasel behavior. Now, I don't think that Spencer's a weasel, but I don't think that was the strongest of moves to make, because ultimately, address it. Well, they, even if you'd have said, they have their opinions and that's how they see things, you could say that and then the conversation's done. But to try and skip over it and act like you're not a member of that team, to me was, that was a little bit cowardly. And it's funny because when you then watch the IFL interview, Kugan Cassius basically kind of sticks it on Spencer Oliver a little bit, saying, hold on, but he asked you the same question 3 times and you chose not to answer. You tried to swerve the question. And at that point, he semi-addresses it there and says, oh, no, but I don't talk bad about AJ on there. It's not me. But it's like, well, you've been complicit in some of the things that I've said without giving further context to it. So even if you're not directly saying it, you're still kind of complicit. Anyway, I guess going back to the presser, I mean, the only other thing that I guess was a little bit interesting, obviously AJ was like, well, look, you can tell that these guys aren't serious, basically saying that like he wanted this fight because he's not about to waste his time waiting on people like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. He said he's tired of waiting on them. Like, you know, these things have been happening for years where, you know, fights with them just can't get made for whatever reason. Like, you guys kind of see what's happened. You see who's ducking Undisputed and all that sort of stuff. He goes, you know, he said they're scared to fight Usyk. I fought him twice. And that's basically sort of the scenario that I saw in one of the other interviews, where he's basically saying, why is it that you can't get a fight done with Alexander Usyk when I managed to do it twice over? So all of that, I mean, it's funny because the entire press conference pretty much became about Tyson Fury and what he's doing with what we'll speak about next. And on Dillian White's side, it was pretty much about, I am being underpaid, but I'm taking it for the opportunity. I just want to avenge the losses that I had. I avenged the one against Povetkin. I want to avenge the AJ loss. I want to avenge the Fury loss, and then I can leave the game. I just want to avenge my losses at this point. If I can win a world title along the way, brilliant. But ultimately, that's my quest right now. So I don't know. They both like they're going into this for like different reasons and different motivations, which don't necessarily seem to be motivated by each other, which could actually make it a fun fight because they may both technically have their eye on other things going into the fight, as opposed to being 100% locked in, or one person's locked in and the other one isn't. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, that was pretty much the press conference. It was nothing great, but I am looking forward to seeing the face-off that Adeola Depot did shoot afterwards, and I'm sure that will be quite fun to watch. I mean, I doubt it would be as good as the one from 2015, but I reckon it'll be entertaining all the same. There will be something that comes out in there that is, you know, what we, the public, the real boxing public, want to see. But yeah, let me leave that one there because that's pretty much all to speak about. Big up to October Red, because I saw that she was putting in some hard graft. Done a lot of good quality interviews. I've watched a couple. I need to finish off watching some of those later on. And yeah, on to the next one. So as you no doubt will be aware, it's been announced, it was announced at 3 o'clock today, that Tyson Fury will in fact fight Francis Ngannou. But here is the actual the kicker, which I don't think anyone had quite predicted. There was talks about certain things, but it's going to be taking place on the 28th of October in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So two things come to mind with this. Frank Warren, on numerous interviews, came out, and this was TalkSport, this was IFL, I think Boxing Social, Seconds Out, and said on numerous interviews that the heavyweight division is being held up by Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk because they're waiting for that Saudi money, and that money can't be can't come until the end of the year. So, you know, they don't want to jeopardize that money, so they're holding up the division. They're the ones that don't want to take fights. Basically, he was trying to, play up for Tyson Fury. So how ironic is it that the only person this year who's got a fight scheduled to take place in Saudi Arabia at the end of the year is Tyson Fury? Frank, I'm gonna need you to address this one. I know that the guys, you know, the Umars and those lot are not, you know, and who else is there? Whoever else from Seconds Out and all those other channels, I know they're not gonna press you on these questions. However, I am planning to be at the next Queensbury show at York Hall on the 17th of August, and please believe I will have my moment with either Frank Warren or Dev Sani or anyone else within the team, and I will be asking these questions. Whether I never get invited back again, or, you know, anything along those lines, whether I get cussed out on camera, it doesn't matter. I am going to be asking these questions because, quite frankly, I need to know how you can, at this point, bald-faced lie. Even if it's the truth that they were waiting for that and that was the reason the division's being held up. Well, the one person that's going there is your guy. Not even against a ranked boxer. His WBC title is actually not on the line, and it's not even an exhibition anymore from all intents and purposes. It's an actual official boxing rules match. But the title's not on the line, so 10 months into the year, he gets to fight a non-title fight with the WBC, not even stating that he should have to defend his title. Realistically, if he's able-bodied, he should be fighting at least twice, one voluntary and one mandatory every year for when you hold a title. That should be how it is. However, his mandatory hasn't been called, so I understand that. So him actually doing the exhibition, all that stuff, I can't be too critical of it because he's not under any formal obligations. But the fact of the matter is, there's 15 people within the WBC ranks that you can legitimately fight. Now, okay, if we're gonna say that Andy Ruiz quote unquote priced himself out, and you don't obviously want to do Deontay Wilder 4 and AJ was unavailable, that's fine. Well, there was Frank Sanchez. Prior to obviously him being arranged to fight Rafael Akpaju, however you say his name, apologies Rafael, on that card that Jared Anderson was on the other day, he was available to fight. Martin Bakole doesn't have a fight, he's a ranked contender. Michael Hunt is a ranked contender. I think Ajit Caballero is even number 15, he's a ranked contender. Who else is in those rankings? I think, is Otto Volin in there? Frank Sanchez? Like, ultimately, there was at least 7 people that you could have scheduled a fight with. So if you're gonna say then, oh well, they want big fights, or you know, he needed a big fight, he couldn't just fight anyone, but he's the cash cow. That's what you keep telling us, that Tyson Fury is the cash cow. He's the number one guy in the division. He's the main man. Well, that means that he should be able to make money with anyone. You shouldn't need a rank or a big name opposite the ring to make money. I mean, Canelo Alvarez didn't need a big name in John Ryder to make a huge amount of money. He made a lot of money against Avni Rildrum and people tuned in and watched. He made a huge amount of money with Caleb Plant, who wasn't a big name. Billy Joe Saunders was a name that we knew. He wasn't a big name in America. So if you are the cash cow, you make money with anybody. Anthony Joshua made money with Carlos Takam, who most people, especially casuals, didn't know. He was a 3-week replacement for a guy that you might know if you watch Vladimir Klitschko fights. Dominic Brazil wasn't a big name, made money. Povetkin was known to the boxing fraternity, to the wider world, maybe not, but he still, you know, he made big money with all of these people. So if you're the cash cow, you need to make money with the people in your division. You're supposed to provide those opportunities and not be looking for someone else to carry the load of the promotional work for you. But yeah, going back to the original point, how is it that the one person who apparently wanted to fight everyone and was the only person willing to fight everyone, putting out all the offers, is the only person that's going to Saudi Arabia this year? Because from all intents and purposes, it looks like that AJ Wilder thing is not going to be taking place on the 26th of December, which is weird anyway. Like, why would you put that on a bank holiday Tuesday after Christmas? Like, the sensible thing would be to put that before Christmas and then let people enjoy their Christmas. So it should really have gone on the 23rd if you was going to do that. But yeah, apparently that's being moved to January now, the 27th of January or something along those lines. Maybe get pushed into February. But what's guaranteed is now Usyk Fury definitely wouldn't happen on that card if it was in January, because Fury is fighting basically in November. He's not going to fight again 2 months later. And Usyk, for what we can tell, supposedly on that card would have to fight another mandatory. So he probably isn't going to be ready to fight again until May, June. At which point they probably won't put a fight on because it will be too hot in Saudi Arabia at that time, because you won't be able to do it before Ramadan in March if it's in January. So the whole thing's just out of whack, and there's pretty much like one person and one faction to blame for this. Now, in terms of getting your money and doing something, cool, I actually have no problem with that. But if you are the reigning champion of the world, there's absolutely no reason that you can justify doing an exhibition as your only bout of the year. There was other people to fight. There was plenty of people to fight. There was matches to be made. There was activity to be had. Like, essentially, it's a cash grab, cool. It's not a cash grab that's gonna affect me in the sense I'm not paying for it. I've never paid for a Tyson Fury pay-per-view because there's not been one that has interested me. The closest I came was the Dillian Whyte one, but based on how Dillian Whyte was treated in that whole negotiation, it's more so by the WBC, I refuse to be a part of it. And until Tyson Fury fights Usyk or fights a Joshua with adequate notice, when he hasn't actually got something else in the pipeline that he's planning out, he won't be getting my money. Actually, no, that's a lie. If he fights ranked contenders, Andy Ruiz will get my money, a Frank Sanchez will get my money, a Martin Bakole, anyone in that top 15, if he's fighting actively, like more than once a year, cool. Unless it's Derek Chisora 4, like that's not happening, and Wilder 4, no, not that one either. But yeah, look, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what yours are under, you know, in the comment section below. Ultimately, like, it's a bit of a piss take. I'm not blaming him as such for getting his money, but as a champion, for this to be the only thing you do this year, I'm sorry, Frank, you can't say that other people are holding up the division. You've got Alexander Usyk, you know, taking care of a mandatory to keep a belt, to try and keep Undisputed alive. Supposedly he's going to have to do the same thing in his very next fight now to keep that Undisputed dream alive and take on a second mandatory, while Tyson Fury is just there swanning about having, you know, zero risk fights basically. Because if it was hybrid rules, I might be more into it, or some kind of hybrid format. But it's not. It's straight boxing, and Tyson Fury is an elite level heavyweight boxer against a novice, maybe an elite striker from a different discipline, but a novice level boxer at this point. It's not gonna be competitive. It might be fun for a couple rounds, but again, I won't even know, because I won't. The same way I didn't watch Derek Chisora 3, I've still not watched that fight. I'm not gonna watch this one. I'll hear about it afterwards. I won't be covering it on the breakdown that week. I will take the week off if I have to, because I won't be a part of it. It's that simple. But yeah, leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys think. As always, like and subscribe. Remember, memberships are there. I might do some exclusive content throughout the rest of this week. And yeah, I will leave it there. So thank you very much. And for right now, it's the Hardcore Casual out.